See, Jim Acosta believes that the president owes the press an apology for negatively reacting to the multitude of inaccurate and outright false stories written about him, his family, members of his administration, and his policies. Now, after this exchange, MSNBC's Chuck Todd, in a tweet, called it, I quote, an extraordinarily disappointing moment by @PressSec just now. Her inability to acknowledge the role POTUS has played in all of this media bashing only hurts her own credibility. She had a chance to defend the institution and take the high ground and show leadership. Instead, defend the institution? I mean, I do believe that the institution of a free press definitely needs defending. I believe it needs protecting. But I don't think that it's the administration that it needs defending from. The threat of a free press to a free press resides from within the press. Let me give you some examples. Our friend Cheryl Atkinson recently compiled a top 50 media mistakes list. I think that she's being incredibly generous and labeling them as mistakes. And I just wanted to read some of these really quickly. She goes back to when the New York Times said that the president had not paid taxes for 18 years, and then they ultimately showed that records showed that the president actually paid a higher tax rate than that of Democrats Bernie Sanders and President Barack Obama. They were reluctant to even retract that. Or when they would go after, for instance, CNN claimed that Nancy Sinatra was not happy at her father's song being used at Trump's inauguration. Sinatra responded, quote, that's not true. I never said that. Why do you lie, CNN? Actually, I'm wishing him the best. Or when Zeke Miller of Time magazine in January 2017 reported that the president had removed the statue of civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. from the Oval Office, the news went viral. It was false. In fact, it was still there. It was just in photographs obscured by an agent who was at the door. Or January 26, 2017, when Josh Rogan of the Washington Post reported that the State Department's entire senior administrative team had resigned in protest of the president. A number of media outlets from all over the place, including Vox, stated that this claim was misleading and completely wrong. January 28, 2017, CNBC said the DOJ had no input on the immigration executive order. And finally, Harwood was contradicted. He amended it. He was wrong. He had to retract it. CNN's Jeff Zeleny reported that the White House set up Twitter accounts for 2 judges to try to keep the president's selection for Supreme Court secret. That had to be later corrected because they, in fact, had not been set up by the White House. I could go down and I could spend the rest of the show going through. Actually, there are over 50. There's like 100 of these right now. I mean, we can go to 2017 when the Associated Press was erroneously reporting on Trump policy that they had to retract, or how, again, CNN's Thomas Frank reported that Congress was investigating the Trump administration and several officials. That report was later retracted. When Newsweek's Chris Riota in July 6, 2017, and others reported that Poland's first lady had refused to shake Trump's hand. Newsweek later had to retract that story and said, actually, after all, it had been shaken, and you could clearly see it on the full video. This is the kind of stuff, I mean, we could sit here and go on and on and on with this. This is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about.